Inability to source stock on time and in full is an all too common problem and has the potential to seriously damage an organisation's bottom line. In recent years, supply shortages and delays in shipping have become the norm, and as a result, organisations across all industries have been forced to re-evaluate how they manage inventory, especially items that are essential for day-to-day operations. Of course, organisations that have decided to hold more inventory on hand also take on the added burden of managing how that inventory is stored and moved between locations. ARM's optional Inventory Transfers module has been designed with exactly these kinds of challenges in mind. Once configured, a user can request, ship, receive, and expense inventory items between source and destination locations quickly and easily. The process itself is similar to purchasing in ARM with a few minor differences. The user still creates a requisition for the items, but opts to transfer them from an internal location rather than purchasing them from a supplier. This requisition still goes through approval, but once the transfer order is created, a user will need to assemble and ship the items from the source location. Similarly, at the destination location, a user will ultimately need to receive the selected items. This process of shipping and subsequently receiving ensures that the necessary receipts and stock adjustments are all created in Kinetic, reflecting the transfer of those items from one location to another. But of course, all of this is triggered using ARM, with no users physically needing to be in Kinetic to make it happen. Where it's configured, and assuming the user has access to its functionality, the Transfers menu option appears down the left side. Clicking this menu shows a historical list of all of the transfers in the system, each with their own current status. Let's now create a simple transfer request. We begin by creating a new requisition. Firstly, we'll add an item from our internal catalogue. You'll notice that most, if not all, of the catalogue items are defaulted to purchase. This means that each time one of these items is requisitioned, the default behaviour in ARM is to create a purchase order. The supplier for a purchase order can sometimes be selected manually, or it can be pre-selected in Kinetic as the preferred supplier for given items. When the ARM Transfers module is active, the user is presented with additional options, those being the option to transfer or to expense a given item in addition to purchasing it. Let's select Transfer. Now, as is the nature of transfers, we need to select a source location. In other words, the location where we are going to source these items from. If we click on the magnifying glass next to the supplier name, notice that we can now see a live list of our locations, and from this we can clearly see which location has these items available for transfer. Let's select EVN as our source location, add the items to our requisition, and click Finish. We've now added a line to be transferred from the EVN source location to our receiving location or our destination location, CHI. A green T indicator now appears, indicating that this particular item is being transferred from an internal location rather than being purchased from an external supplier, and we can easily see both the source and destination locations on the line detail itself. It's possible, of course, for a user to combine both transfer and purchase lines within a single requisition. However, we'll submit this requisition for approval as is, and we can see that Jen has been prompted as the first approver. Note that even though we are transferring an item rather than purchasing it from a supplier, the approval workflow still triggers. We cover requisition approval in another video, so I won't go into detail in this video, but ultimately, once the requisition is approved, we now have what's called a transfer order. You can see this new transfer order under the Transfers menu, and it's now somebody's responsibility to pick the items and ship them out from the source location. Let's use Jen for this task. Logged in as Jen, we firstly open the transfer order. Now, enter the quantity being shipped and the bin location they're shipping out of. Now click Ship and enter the shipping date. Note that the status icon has updated to Shipped, and if we view the order from the Transfers menu, we can see that we are part way through the process. That is, the goods are shipped, but not yet received. Let's now assume that Maurice works at the destination location and it's his job to receive incoming deliveries. Maurice logs in and selects the transfer in question. Note that we can choose to receive this from the header, but let's open it up and take a closer look. From here, Maurice can see how many items were requested and how many Jen had shipped. Of course, Maurice's job is to now receive these items into the destination location. Click Receive, enter the date, and the transfer process is now complete. It's also quite common to not only transfer items, but also to expense them. This scenario is common amongst organisations where the intention is to consume items from inventory as they're requested. Within a requisition, and as we saw earlier, the Transfers module allows us to opt for transfer rather than purchase. In addition, we also get the option to expense. Unlike a purchase or transfer order, upon approval of an expense requisition, an expense transaction is created in ARM along with an inventory adjustment. Lastly, this concept of expensing can also apply to transfer orders at the time they're received at the destination location. Logged in as an administrator and under the Locations heading, a location can be set to expense all receipts. When this box is checked, any transfer order which is received at this location will be instantly expensed at the time it's received. A general ledger transaction is also created to move the expense from the GL account defined against the quantity adjustment code in ARM to the GL account on the original requisition line.